Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy back with another reaction video, and I'll be reacting to Three Scary True Lockdown Horror Stories Volume 4. I believe this is from Mr. Nightmare, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if I reacted to this before. I know I've reacted to lockdown stories before, but some of these have similar names, and like it'd be other channels that do it too, and then they have similar names, and I react to them, and then I don't know if I get the names mixed up, but it'll be a link in the description down below, so you can go check out the channel yourself, like, subscribe, do all that good jazz, show them love as always, and let's get into this. All right, here we.
I work at a middle school as an 8th grade
This is
teacher.
Mr. Nightmare.
Some of you may assume that means I'm like 38 or something, but I'm actually only 26. I was hired young. I'm not saying I'm immature or anything, just that I feel
Well,
it's
that's I
cool when 20
mean,
years
the
older
math
may have handled
teacher
things differently.
that I had in high
Of
school
course, this happened
was,
during a period when I
but
was
the
teaching math
geometry
class.
teacher was
The math wing in our school was closest to the
23.
lobby.
If I
I
remember
remember it
correctly,
like
she
it was
was
yesterday,
young
down to the equation I was writing on the
and
board. I
fine
wrote
as
the
hell
handles
too.
really
Man,
slow.
she was fine.
It wasn't a drill. All faculty and students are taught
A
which
little
alarms mean what.
country belle
This was the alarm
accent,
that meant going to
fine
lockdown
ass.
for real, not a drill. I hurried to the door to lock it. Each door in the building has a big glass panel in it, though, so the doors have little blinds that you could pull down to cover this. Even though we're supposed to pull down the blinds during lockdowns, we're also supposed to instruct students to hide in one corner of the room with the lights off. As I turned off the lights in the classroom, I told the students to go hide in the corner of the room where we would be least visible and audible from the door. I saw the lights in the hallways dim to just the backup lights, something I'd never seen before till that point. I was slightly worried because I knew this had to be serious. And like I said, the math wing is right by the lobby. My classroom is one of the first classrooms you pass as you're going through one of the two hallways that veer from the lobby. I was curious, so using the classroom phone, I called the front office. They didn't pick up after 4 rings, so I hung up. I wasn't endangering anyone to my knowledge because the front office is behind 2 doors and the phone wouldn't be heard from the lobby. But still, them not picking up was concerning. There was suddenly
Of
a
course,
knock
they're
on
not
the
gonna
door,
pick up.
frantic panic knocking, accompanied with someone on the other side of the door begging to be let in. It wasn't a student, the voice was way too deep. It sounded to me like a guy in his early 20s, if I had to guess. I went to the door quietly, saw the person's shadow on the other side of the blind. He started saying he could see me through the blind and knew I could hear him. He kept saying let me in this scared sounding kind of whimpery voice. I looked to my students. Some of them had
No,
scared, confused looks on their faces.
don't let them in.
I signaled for them to keep quiet. Then I asked through the door, who's there? What's your name?
Well, don't talk.
He said his name was Cody and that he was a student and needed to get into the classroom because he felt unsafe in the halls. When he told me this, I noticed he seemed to be trying to talk in a slightly higher pitch. I wasn't falling for it. There was no way that voice belonged to a
You're
middle
not
school.
supposed to open the door anyway
I ignored
once you
him and went
lock
back
it.
to the corner by the students. The guy on the other side of the door started knocking harder now, fiddling with the doorknob and then kind of thrashing at the door, all while still saying, help, let me in. I did my best to keep my students from screaming or freaking out. The guy eventually gave up and the noises stopped. We stayed in lockdown for half an hour before an announcement was made that police had searched the building and it was safe. So later on, faculty was given more details, and apparently some 20-something-year-old guy with long hair down to his shoulders was walking around the school with a small handgun. Whether it was a real gun or not remains unknown, but the guy was caught on camera leaving the building through a back exit, and he was found by police 2 hours later, not holding the gun. I think I could have handled the situation a little better.
Yeah, you
For
could
example,
have.
not even answering the guy when he was at the door.
Exactly, you're not
I was
supposed
so
to.
nervous that I really wasn't thinking logically. It's scary to think about what might have transpired if I opened the door for him.
Or he could have just shot through the door. I mean, the school doors, those especially like when I was in high school, those are pretty thick. But still, he could have shot multiple times through the
This was
door.
back in my university days, not too long ago. I was in between classes with an hour-long gap. I had to go to the bathroom, but I didn't like using the
Kind of
bathrooms
like
like
a
most other
school I went to
classrooms.
back in like the
There were a
early,
couple restrooms
not
on
the early
campus that I
2000s,
never
like the
really
mid
used.
2000s,
For example, the activity center building's bathroom. Our school's activity center was
what the
usually the
mid
ghost town during
2010s, I
early
should
day
say.
hours. And it was next to the building where I'd be having my next class, so it wasn't like it was far away. Inside the lobby of the activity center, some guy was sitting on a desk looking down at his phone. He looked up at me as I passed and said good morning. I said it back and proceeded around the curved hallway to the restrooms. While I was in one of the stalls, the door to the restroom opened and a man asked if anyone's in here. Being that it was the women's restroom, I was a little weirded out by that. I didn't answer. The door to the restroom closed, but I heard footsteps come up to my stall and stop. There was a light
Boy,
tap on the stall door with one of his fingers, I presume. Then, in that ever so tiny crack in the door, I saw the man pressing his face up through it. I saw his eye looking in
I
for a
don't know
second.
why they have
He
that
gasped and said,
in
"Someone's in here." He replied back asking why I didn't answer him, then told me this building and all nearby buildings are going into lockdown because of an apparent student who was sighted with a weapon. I didn't understand why he was in the women's bathroom with me, though. I left the stall to be face to face with him, and it was that guy that was sitting on the desk before. I was guessing he was the front desk worker or whatever for this building. He had to be trustworthy. He
hmm,
showed me a text on his phone
had
from
to
a
be
regular
him.
number, and it was a warning from the university to stay inside whatever building and classrooms you're in and to lock all the doors due to a potentially armed individual on campus. I found that alarming, so I felt comfortable with him going to blockade the bathroom door with a garbage bin. After he did that, though, the two of us just stood in the bathroom together, awkwardly. Like, I was trying to ask him for more details about the potentially armed person on campus. He said he had no other information on it, though. Something about the way he was looking at me relentlessly.
Mm.
No social cues or when to stop staring at me. I felt uneasy. I pulled out my phone to create a buffer, and as I was on my phone, I thought to just look for a similar text from the school that he showed me. But I didn't get any text from the university. I went to the school's website, which would often have news and alerts. It didn't have anything about it, though. I asked this man's name, and he said his name was Eli, that he worked in the building. Now that I thought about it, though, his
Eli.
outfit consisted of light blue bootcut jeans with brown boots and a gray hoodie.
Oh,
He looked, if anything, like a maintenance worker. Instead of trying to continue the conversation with him, I was on my phone texting friends, any friends who I knew were on campus at the moment, asking if they heard anything about this armed person. I had two friends text back saying no, class was in session like normal. I looked up at the man, who was now even closer to me.
oh boy.
Time stopped moving in that instant. He looked at the door, then whispered to me that he thought he heard something, that we should make a move to one of the stalls and hide. I froze, both physically and mentally. He started to walk up to me with his arms slightly extended out,
Oh,
to one of the stalls with him. At this point, the only thing I could do was scream, as loud as I could. I caught him off guard, and I think he went into full-on panic mode because he looked around the room and then hurried to move the trash bin away from the door and storm out of the bathroom. I
oh,
proceeded
he's
to leave
trying
the
to
bathroom
rape
a
you.
few seconds after him, running to the nearest exit. From there, I called my mom to cry to her about it. She actually called campus police for me and then drove to the school to meet me, and that's when I told campus police about the man, with my mom there to support me. A day later, I received a call from campus police, and they said they reviewed the footage caught in the building and could confirm that man did not work at the school and that they would do their best to find out who he was. I never received any future
I've never
updates.
seen a building in any university I've been to that says campus police department on it like that. I mean, they have security, but not like a whole building for them.
It was ninth period, the end of the school day, senior year of high school. Ninth period was one of my off periods, so my school days would be a little shorter. A couple of my friends also had their schedules set up that way. Ryan and Scott.
He's a senior or
My
something?
third friend Tyler had off ninth period every other day. This was one of the days he didn't have off. But since it was Friday and a nice day out, we were all texting each other, making plans to hit the beach. Tyler was talking about sneaking out of gym early to come with us, so we were waiting in the hallway by the gym. This hall was in the far corner of the school. The only people passing were students going to gym class.
I just remember
Tyler
because
texted
my
us that
senior
he was
year
just going to
gym
wait till the
class
gym
was my
teacher came in
last
attendance,
period,
then sneak back to the
which was
library
at
and play
ended
games in
at
the hall.
noon,
We waited
and that was
for
my
a decent
last, so I
minute.
could leave
It was
after
taking a
that.
while for some reason. There's a set of exit doors at the end of the gym hall we were standing in. It wasn't supposed to be used as an entrance, yet here came some guy through the doors. Even though it was a really nice day out, this guy came through the two doors in the hall wearing black sweatpants and a black zipper-up hoodie with the hood over his head.
You
He was
already
also wearing a
suspect.
black backpack. We went silent as he walked past us, making a point of looking at all three of us with this dagger of a stare. Ryan stepped up and said, "What, dude? Fuck off." And the guy stopped in his tracks and turned to face Ryan and asked him if he's got a problem. Scott and I stepped in and just said forget it over and over until the guy turned and kept walking.
No,
That guy seemed
he's
extremely
about to
sketchy.
shoot your ass.
He looked like he could have been a student, but none of us recognized him. He had a little facial hair, but it was kind of patchy though. A few minutes later, we texted him asking him to hurry up, and he texted back he couldn't sneak out just yet since we're in lockdown. This was a shock to us because we weren't aware of this. He said the gym teachers announced it and everyone was hiding in the locker rooms. We also just realized the doors separating the gym hallway from the actual locker room hallway were closed and locked. We immediately linked it to that creepy looking dude dressed in all black who just walked past us. The reality hit us so much harder when there were these popping sounds from down one of the hallways.
Oh shit.
First they sounded like maybe a teacher slamming books on a desk as if to wake a student up or something. But we quickly put two and two together and realized they were gunshots. The sounds of students.
How did y'all not get shot?
Next thing we knew, we saw that guy.
Especially talking shit to him.
And he was running full speed towards us. The three of us ran out the two doors that the guy entered from, and all the way to the woods next to the school. In that moment, I felt the curtains of life slowly closing, the thought of death becoming a reality. I looked back twice as we ran, and saw that guy was chasing us, but he was kind of far away. He screamed stuff at us, most of it inaudible, but I did make out him saying, "I'm gonna kill you faggots." We made it to the woods by half of the fence that surrounds the perimeter of the school. When we had a nice shield of trees covering us from view, we stopped to catch our breath. We decided to wait it out, laying flat on the ground to avoid detection. We then heard footsteps nearby. It got louder and louder until I could see him running through the woods looking for us.
Sheesh, why is he got a hard on for y'all?
And when he was out of sight, we all agreed to run for it back to the senior parking lot. Between the running and the shock of the near-death experience we just had, I don't know how I didn't vomit. We got to my car and I drove all three of us to my house. Obviously, the beach idea was out the window now.
Oh yeah, I think.
Media in our high school class group chat that one of the new teachers was shot by the guy and was sent to the hospital in an ambulance. He survived, but everyone thought he was going to die considering he got shot twice. No one knows who that guy was or why he targeted that one specific teacher. I'm sure he went after us because Ryan antagonized him. He probably waited to come back for us, or Ryan specifically, because he didn't want to alert the whole school with a gunshot. Who knows though? But that wouldn't have really mattered anyway because the school was already tipped off by a nearby house about him because he was seen pissing on their property before going to the school, not to mention the way he was dressed on an 80-degree day. I consider this a near-death experience, and I count my lucky stars.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a near-death experience because he would have shot the shit out of here. Like, I'd have been pissed off. Like, if my friend was like, "Hey man, what the fuck you looking at?" I'd have been like, "Dude, shut the fuck up. You don't even know who this is, and you like, hey bro, what the fuck you looking at?" Like, are you trying to antagonize this person? Are you trying to instigate an argument, a fight, or something? And like, you lucky that the dude didn't that he was more preoccupied about getting that teacher. And was like, you know what, I'm gonna say your ass for later. And I'm gonna say all three of you motherfuckers for later. And then he comes sprinting towards him, talking about you gonna kill him. Like, your dumb ass. Like, why would you? Like, I've known people do it where they like start shit with people in places. I'm like, especially in places that I paid to get into, like a club or something, and someone's like, "Man, dude staring at me," and they be drunk, and I'm like, if he is, like, so what? Like, I'm like, just kind of ignore him. Like, don't really, like, stare back, because you probably gonna invite him to basically to come over here and like, what you staring at? Cause y'all both drunk off your ass. I was like, don't worry about it. He told me, I'm gonna go over there. I was like, will you stop pointing at the dude? Like, you will go over there and like point at the guy, the person looking right at us. I'm like, oh God. I'm like, listen, I'm trying to have a good time. I'm not trying to come over here and fight, like, or get start like a fight start, and then I get banned from here because of your ass. I was like, just calm down, dude. I can't stand when people do that shit. Like, what, like, I've had people literally like step on my shoe, like hard, like on my foot, like on my toe, or on the top part of my foot, and then they stare and get in my face, and I'm just like, I just look at them and like, oh, my bad, man. Like, cause I'm not trying to get into a fight. Like I had to pay money to get in here. I don't want to fight. I want to have a good time, and I want to rub on some booty, and I want to leave after this. And maybe if a chick will allow me to take her home and have relations with her, or courtesy, or whatever with her. Why am I forgetting the word? But you know what I'm talking about. So like, I don't want to get in a fight. I didn't come here to fight. I didn't come here to be macho. I didn't come here to show out. I don't know who you are. I don't give a fuck who you are. Whatever. Now, like, if you put your hands on me in an aggressive way, I'm gonna beat your ass. But if you try to like start something, I'm not gonna like get in your face and then you know make the situation worse. I've been with people that I'm like, dude, stop. I'd be like, stop it. I've never. I mean, I've had lockdown stories where it was like a drill. The lockdown story that I can remember anyway was when I was in the military. We had a lockdown because there was an unknown person. Well, actually, we had two lockdowns. One lockdown, we had a person. They didn't know who it was, but it's funny because I had talked to them. They locked down the building and they were looking for a woman. And I remember she came up and talked to me. And she was very like attractive, had like a black like trench coat on, which I thought was interesting because I was like, I think it was spring or like right before it became summer. And she was very attractive and talking to me. Finds out she was like a news reporter or something. And somehow she got on base and she was like walking through the hallway looking at the paintings on the walls, and she looked lost. So I walked up to her and was like, "Excuse me, ma'am, like, you need help?" And she was like, "Oh no," and she asked me something. It was damn it, I can't remember what it was. All I remember was that I don't know. I don't know about that, because it was something. It was something about something that had happened on base. Cause I think that she was trying to get like a story or something, and what was it? It was something that was going on. I can't remember because I think around that time it was something dealing with drugs or something going on base. They were doing like investigations or something at the dorms. Somebody was selling drugs or something, but I don't think that was it. It was something. She asked me, and I didn't know anything about it, so I was like, I don't know. And I remember going to my office, and about 10, 15 minutes later, it was a call over the intercoms that the building was in lockdown. And it was like, and then security forces was going room to room. They like, stay in your room. They close your doors and stuff like that. So we closed and locked the doors, and then they would knock on the door. I remember like, they knocked the door. There was security forces, and I opened the door. Security forces, and they came in. They was like asking us questions about. And I told them, well, some woman was in the hallway, stuff like that, and she was asking questions, stuff like that. And they was, oh, what question she asked? I was like, and I'm like, what? Damn, I wish I could remember what she said. Yeah, but I was like, I don't. They're like, what'd you say? I told her I didn't know. And then they left, went to the next office over, did the same thing. And one other time, they thought it was active shooter in the building, but it wasn't. It was some. They said it was a guy. I never saw the person, but because I remember it came over in the car, it's like building in lockdown. And I remember getting up immediately, closing the door and locking it because we had some customers in there. Because when they came with the intercom, I remember it was I think he was a captain, if I'm not, maybe a major. he like jumped. He jumped up so fast, the chair behind him like fell on the ground. He was like, and I remember jumping up and locking the door, and I think we sat there for like like half an hour or something like that, because we had to wait for security forces to come, and then they came through the building. They had to go to office to office. So we waited half an hour, and I think it came with intercom like security forces in the building, and which I thought was interesting because I didn't know they announced like security forces in the building, and then they went door to door stuff like that, and I don't know. I think the guy had left because I didn't hear anything about they found the guy, because I know they found the woman, and they escorted her off base, and they found out she was like a reporter, some local news station there in Oklahoma, and but this one, they said they didn't find the guy. For what people I talked to that were in the building said that, yeah, because someone downstairs said they saw him like kind of wandering around, and he looked like, they said he had a bag. He was like clutching it underneath like his arm. So they don't know if he like pulled out anything or he actually had a weapon or what. But I never, like I said, I never saw the guy. I don't think he ever came upstairs. But then the alert came out and everyone locked their doors. And I guess he was in the hallway. And so they locked the doors. And they just like, well, he must have just left. And because I think that was the first time I found out they had cameras in the building. Because they said, oh, we saw on the cameras that I was like, wait a minute, y'all got cameras here? I was like, well, where the cameras at? And I found out they had them like tucked up in like the corners. Because I guess I never looked up, but they were kind of like painted the same color as like the walls or something. I was like, I never looked up in that corner and noticed that was a camera. But then it was like after I knew that was there, I could never not look up and see like the camera like right in the entranceway. So they had cameras in every entrance. So they had cameras outside. I saw the cameras outside, but I didn't know they had cameras inside the building. But they only had them outside, and then they had them inside. So if you walked in, you were going to get caught on camera unless you like put your face down or something like that. But yeah, those are only like lockdown stories that I ever had. Like I said, the other ones like I had in high school. I remember we had one. I think I was in the 5th grade. We had but it was a. I think it wasn't a drill. I remember we had a lockdown, but it was a false alarm. I don't remember exactly. I remember we went into lockdown because there was like buildings in lockdown, and what class was I in? I remember the teacher, but I can't remember what she taught. I think it wasn't math because I remember the other teacher that taught math. Maybe it was science or English. I can't remember. I remember she was a redhead and she had glasses on. She was an older woman at the time. She might have been in her 60s, maybe even 70s then, and this was in the late 90s. And I remember she locked the door, and where the doors were, her desk was up front, and all the other desks were like in a rows along the length of the classroom, and the door was up front. And all the doors had like stuff covering them. Like they would basically teachers would just put construction paper up and tape it up at the door. And then but some teachers had like a small opening so they can look out, And I remember when the lockdown, and the teacher was like, well, we could just stay in our seats because you could only see maybe like the first 2 front rows. Well, you could probably see the first front rows back to probably like the 4th or 5th desk if you look through the window. But like I said, the whole window, I think in that room was like completely covered, so you couldn't see anything. So I remember we just sat there in our desk, and then it came out in the comments like all clear. And I don't remember anything, because I don't remember anything coming of that, because I don't remember they said it was a person in the building, because the only entrance, I mean, they had exits, but you couldn't walk back in. Like, someone had to open the door from the inside and then let somebody in because they were locked from the outside, like, kind of like a hotel room door. And then they only had the front entrance where the office was right there and the secretary. So if somebody walked in there and they were an adult, the secretary would stop them because the secretary was right there and the principal office was right up front too, but the secretary would see them, you know. So, but I don't remember anything coming about that because it was just like nothing came about that. They just all clear, and that was it. I never heard anything else about that, or who it was, or what happened. Nobody got hurt, obviously, but yeah. Anyway, hope you enjoyed my reaction one. If you did, make sure you hit that thumbs up button down below. Make sure to subscribe if you're new here. Hit that bell. You'll be notified when I upload new videos. Comment down below. Share this video. See y'all next time. Peace.